Drawing guides are really helpful for keeping your drawings straight and keeping you on track when you're actually developing a project. Just click the wrench tool, go down to Drawing Guide and turn on the tab. What you'll see is the screen covered in grids, but don't worry about that. What you need to do next is go back to the wrench and go to Edit Drawing Guide. And from here we're going to pick the kind of drawing guide that we want to use. So you can use a 2D grid, you can use an isometric grid, perspective grid, and symmetry. So we'll start off with symmetry. Symmetry means that anything you draw will be symmetrical on either side. So for example, if you're drawing a face, let's go into our layers here. We'll click on the first layer until we get this menu here. In this menu, we want to make sure the Drawing Assist is clicked and ticked. It is. So we'll go back to our board, maybe zoom out a little bit. And now if we start drawing, what will happen is we have a reflection on left and right. So that essentially means that we are now symmetrical when we draw. So if you're drawing a face, you know you've got something to work off that will be at least the same on either side. So if you draw an eye, eyebrows, part of a nose, etc., you know that it's going to be pretty symmetrical going forward. So it's a really great way to get started on a project, especially if you're doing a kind of a front-on portrait like this. Okay. If I go back into the Edit Drawing Guide section, I can then pick perspective. And what perspective is good at is for creating vanishing points and giving real depth to your drawings. So for example, I just click on the canvas like this and I can say where I want my perspective to be. Now I've got lines there, I'm going to put them up to the thickness so you can see how the perspective works from the screen here. So if I want the low perspective, I'm going to put it down like this and press done. You can see the lines there that are all around the screen. These won't appear on your final drawing, they're there for your own visual aid as you draw. So just go to your layers. You can see that this layer is assisted, so that means that Drawing Assist is ticked. If I ever want to turn this off, just click off and it goes away. So we want it on, Drawing Assist. Let's go back in, I'm going to select a black color. And now what we want to do is start drawing to see how this works. So if I get a line like this, let's just say this is going to be our ground. And what I want to do next is maybe put in a building. So you can see the building goes in like this. But I want to make this a little bit more three-dimensional and follow the assist of the guides. So I'm going to start making kind of skyscrapers here. And you can see what I did there. As I deviate from the grid, it won't let me draw in specific areas. It's locked into these grid lines that I've set. So if I want to add another building here, but have perspective on it, it will actually apply to only that perspective that's acquired. As you can see, I can only go in certain directions and it will follow this line of the grid perfectly. So this is the kind of perspective we're working from. So this area here, all the way out. And you can see you can do really quick drawings, especially great for landscapes and city perspectives, things like that. But what you need to do then is, once you've got your basic shapes in and basic patterns in, and you want a little bit more finer detail and want a little bit more freedom, just go back to your layer and turn off your Drawing Assist, and then you can go back to your normal drawing function. So if I just go back into our Edit Drawing Guide, and this time we're going to pick isometric. So we're going to use an isometric grid. So I can change the color of my grid up here for whatever suits my preference. I'm going to pick a kind of a blue tone, press done, and you can see then we have this kind of crisscross shapes going on like so. So what these are perfectly aligned to this area. So if you're doing anything technical, such as buildings, houses, etc., you can really get some lovely help and perspective with this grid on. It's all based along this system here of lines, and you can't again deviate outside of this grid, as I'm doing here. Once it's on, you're limited to keeping within the structure that's given. Again, turn it off by going and clicking on it, drawing assist, off, and you can go back to normal. And the final one then, back into the drawing guides edit pane, we're going to go to 2D grid. So 2D grid is a top-down grid-based setup, and it allows you to be accurate as well with what you want to achieve. So you can increase the opacity of the grid lines, increase thickness if you want, and the size, of course. So depending on what you're actually drawing, you can really go quite zoomed in there on that. We're going to keep it around here, and we'll press done. Make sure that our layer is drawing assisted. So now it is, and we'll just start drawing here. As you can see, if I'm just randomly drawing over here, it only allows to go on the certain planes that we got assisted. So I can keep within a very rigid, dead straight kind of application. And this works for all brushes as well. So even brushes that have a little bit of texture to them and things like that, they all work the same way and follow this strict grid system.